We're in the Gemara on Daf Kuf Vav Amud Aleph, and 3 lines from the top. The Gemara goes back to the Mishnah where it said, V'chol hamakalkalin peturin. Anytime you do a malacha and it destroys, you are potter. Tani Rabavo learned in a Braisa kamed Rabbi Yochanan in front of Rabbi Yochanan. Kol hamakalkalin peturin. Anybody that destroys on Shabbos is potter. Chutz, with the exception of mechovel umaver, a person that makes a wound or a person that makes a fire. And as Rashi brings there, the source of this is the Gemara in Baba Kama, where it says when you make a wound on Shabbos, you're potter for paying whatever you would have to pay for that wound, because you're chayiv misa for the malacha that you did on Shabbos. And the same thing also maver godesh al chaveroi, when you are burning your friend's field. So you potter for paying money because you're chayiv for Shabbos. So you see that these two things, that is chayvel and mavir, you are chayiv even though you're destroying. Amalei, Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabavo, Puk tani lebra, go and learn this outside the Besmedrish. Chayvel and mavir ain't a Mishnah. To say that chayvel and mavir are an exception, that you're chayiv even though you're destroying, that's not a Mishnah. We don't paskin this way. Then he said, V'im tim tzolaima Mishnah. And if you want to say that we do paskin this way, chayvel, when would chayvel be chayiv if it has a constructive purpose? Bitzarech lekalbay, the blood that was what came out when he made the wound, he's using it to feed his dog. Or mavir bitzarech la'afra, he's lighting the fire and he needs the fire because the ashes, he's going to be using the ashes. So only when there's a constructive purpose, then you would be chayiv. Now the Gemara goes back to the statement of Rabavo. So Rabavo himself said that mekalkalin, anytime you destroy your potter, with the exception of chayvel and mavir, even if it's just for the purpose of destroying your potter. The Gemara, Hakad Rabavo said this. We learned in our Mishnah, kol mekalkalin peturin. Anybody that destroys is potter. So our Mishnah clearly says everybody, any malacha on Shabbos that destroys is potter. It does not make this exception of chayvel and mavir. Answers the Gemara, Masnisen Rabbi Yehuda and Braisa Rab Shimon. There's a machlokes about this. The Mishnah that says that Yechayev follows the opinion. The Mishnah that says Kol HaMekalkalim Peturin and doesn't make any exceptions with this. This is Rabbi Yehuda, and the Braisa that says that you'd be Chayev. That's what Rabavo quoted. That follows the opinion of Rab Shimon. What's the exact machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda and Rab Shimon about this subject? So first Rashi says that the Pshat in the Gemara would just seem very simple and straightforward, that there was some place where Rabbi Yehuda said that Kol HaMekalkalim Peturin, without any exceptions. And Rab Shimon held that there are exceptions. And the Gemara, Rashi says he doesn't know where they said this. Where did they say this? But then Rashi says that what the Gemara here is saying, that this is based on the machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda and Rab Shimon, this is connected to the general machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda and Rab Shimon regarding a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, which we had just in the Amud before and many, many times before. Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is that for a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, you're chayiv. You're doing the malacha, and it's not for the purpose of the malacha itself. It's for something else, you'd be chayiv. So now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the fact that we have chayvel and mavir as part of the lamed tes malachas, what are they doing there? Aren't they malachas that destroy? The answer is no. According to Rabbi Yehuda, even if it's done for another purpose, for another positive, constructive purpose, like the Gemara brought before, he needs the blood or he needs the ashes, you'd be chayiv for that, even though it's a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa. But Rabbi Yehuda says you're chayiv. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yehuda, there's no reason to say that chayvel and mavir are an exception of the din that if you're destroying, you're potter. Chayvel and mavir are part of lamed tes malachas when he's doing it for a constructive purpose, even though it's a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, you'd be chayiv. So that's our Mishnah that said kol HaMekalkalim Peturin, and there's no exception with chayvel and mavir. When chayvel and mavir actually are only a kilkul, your taka would be potter. Whereas Rab Shimon holds, Rab Shimon's opinion is a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa would be potter. If you're not doing it for the purpose of the malacha itself, you would be potter. So the question is, how could chayvel and mavir ever be part of the lamed tes malachas? It's always a destructive purpose. And if it's for a constructive purpose, which is not tzricha legufa, you're also potter. So memanav it can't be part of the lamed tes malachas. Rab Shimon was forced to say that chayvel and mavir, that are by nature destructive things, and they're included in the lamed tes malachas, it must be that they are an exception to this rule of a mekalkal being potter on Shabbos. That's how Rashi explains this Gemara. So the Gemara now says, "My time Rab Shimon." What is the source for Rab Shimon to say that these are an exception? Fine, Rab Shimon Taka is forced to say so, but he has to have a source that this is different than the regular rule that mekalkel on Shabbos is potter. Where does he see that this is an exception? The answer is Itzrich Kra Lemishra Mila. This is from the fact that the Torah has to say that you're allowed to make a bris milah on Shabbos, even though bris milah is making a wound and it's a kilkel. Yet the Torah comes and says that you're allowed a special pasuk to say that it's allowed to be done on Shabbos. So from this we see that without this special heter, although it's kilkel, it would be asur. So I see from this that making a chabura is something that would be asur on Shabbos. So the Gemara explains here. So from this I could deduce the fact that I need a special pasuk for Mila to say that it's allowed. So I can deduce from this, if a person is just making a wound, in any other case, chayiv, he would be chayiv, even though it's destroying. Similar, we find that when it comes to the punishment of havara, when she's chayiv misa, bas kayin is chayiv misa, punishable by burning. And the Gemara later, we'll learn it in Mitzvah Shem, brings a pasuk to learn out that you can't do this on Shabbos. So Shema Mina, from the fact that I need a special pasuk to say that by a bas kayin that it can't be done on Shabbos, Shema Mina, Mavir Ba'al Mechayiv. So from here I learn out that in general, Mavir is one of the malachas of Shabbos. Chayiv, and you'd be chayiv for it. So therefore, Rab Shimon sees, and Rab Shimon is the one that holds that there's an exception, all mekalkel, and anytime you destroy on Shabbos, you potter. These two cases of Mavir and Chayvul are not an exception, and you would be chayiv even if you're destroying. Mashenkin, according to Rabbi Yehuda, there's no reason to say that there's an exception. If you're doing it with a positive, constructive purpose, even though it's eina tzricha legufa, that's the case that you would be chayiv, according to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that says that there is no exception here, and Yechayiv when it's Ein Tzricha Legufa. So why did the Torah, both by the cases and Mila and Avara, why did you have to have the special psukim over there? Rabbi Yehuda, Hasam Mesakinhu. Over there, he's a mesakin. He's actually doing something positive. Kid Ravashi, the Omer Ravashi, Mali Lesakin Mila, Mali Lesakin Keli. What difference is there if you're fixing and making a vessel, or you're fixing and you're making the person be a mohel, that you're giving him a bris milah? That's not destroying. That's not a mekalkel. That's making the person a mohel. That's a positive thing. So therefore, that's not a case that you could prove from that a mekalkel on Shabbos would be chayiv. And the same thing also regarding the havara. Mali lesakin keli and mali levashal psila. What difference is there if you're being mesakin a keli, which is a constructive purpose, or if you're cooking a psila, you're cooking a wick that was used in this punishing of burning that they put down her throat? What difference is there? Mali levashal samanin. Or if you're cooking the herbs that were used in the Mishkan to make the dye for the Mishkan. So this is all considered to be for a positive, constructive malacha, and therefore there's no raya from both of these cases according to Rabbi Yehuda. The next thing we learned in the Mishnah was Shir Hamalaban. What's the size, the minimum size, if someone is whitening, or other things the Mishnah mentioned, what was to be the minimum size? So the Mishnah said, Kiroicha vasit kafel, that you take from the index finger to the middle finger, and that when you spread out your hand, and that space, and you double it, that's what you'd be chayiv for. Rav Yosef machvi kafel. Rav Yosef showed on his hand this shear double from the index finger to the middle finger. Rab Chia bar Ami machvi pashit. Rab Chia bar Ami would show it without having to double the space, as Rashi explains. He would show it from the thumb to the middle finger, which is a longer space, and that's the space what you chayiv for. You don't have to double from the index finger to the middle finger. You just go from the thumb and the middle finger, and that's the shear. It's the same size. It's just a matter of if you have to double it by going from the index finger to the middle finger, or you could just measure it from the middle finger to the thumb. Now we continue in the next Mishnah to another malacha, the malacha of tzeidah. Rabbi Yehuda says, Atzad tzipar lemigdal, a person that captures a bird into a closet. Utzvi lebayis, or a deer into a house. Chayev is chayev. This is an appropriate seder where it's captured. Chachamim say tzipor lemigdal, a bird into a closet. and tzvi legina, or a deer that you captured, or the bachas gaitis labayis, and then legina into a house or into a garden or lechotzer, into a courtyard, lebivarin, or another kind of enclosure, chayiv. In all these cases, you chayiv. In other words, when it comes to an animal, to a deer, it's not only if you capture it into a house, even if you capture it outdoors in a fenced-in garden or courtyard or another enclosure, you'd be chayiv. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says the following rule: Loi kala bivarin shavin. Not all enclosures are the same. Not all of them would it be considered that you actually captured it. Zah klal, and here's the rule: if after you captured it inside this enclosure, it still lacks additional chasing it and capturing it, pater. You'd be pater. If it does not lack any additional capturing, then chayiv. Then it's captured, and then you would be chayiv. The Gemara will explain exactly what this means, as we'll see. So the Gemara begins with a Mishnah in Masechta Beya that says as follows, regarding the halachas of Yom Tif. Ein sadin dagim min abivarim b'Yom Tif. You're not allowed to capture fish when they are enclosed in these ponds before Yom Tif already, but nevertheless, you're not allowed to capture them on Yom Tif. So Tseida, according to many Rishonim, is not a malacha that was permitted on Yom Tiv, even though it could be tzricha eichel nefesh. It's something that's for the purpose of eating food, but nevertheless, Tseida is not a malacha that they were mater. That's what some Rishonim hold. Other Rishonim say that because this is something that could be done before Yom Tiv, so this is not something that they were mater on Yom Tiv. So the point over here, though, is that when these fish are in this pond, it's not considered to be captured yet. And therefore, if you capture it on Yom Tiv, it's asur. And you're not allowed to feed these fish in these ponds. And Rashi says the reason is because it's muktzah. Since you're not allowed to capture it, it's muktzah, and therefore you're not allowed to feed them. Taisvis, not here, but Taisvis in Beis says that there's a gzeira. Chachamim made a gzeira not to feed them. The issue is not muktzah. The issue is a gzeira that if you're going to feed them, you might come to capture them. Then the Braisa continues, or the Mishnah actually in Masechta Beya continues, Avol tzadin, chaya v'oif. But you are allowed to capture an animal, a bird, v'noisnin l'fneim b'zainis, and you can also feed them. So an animal or a bird that are in this enclosure, you're allowed to capture on Yom Tiv, because it's already considered to be captured. Once it's here in a bivarin, in an enclosure, it's already captured, you're allowed to capture it again. You're allowed to take it because it's captured. And then there's a contradiction from another Braisa where it says bivarin shel chayis v'shel oifis v'shel dogim ein sadem mehem b'Yom Tiv. Over here it puts them all in the same category, whether it's animals, whether it's birds, whether it's fish. You're not allowed to capture them on Yom Tiv, and you can't feed them either. So here we see that even animals and birds in an enclosure outdoors is not considered to be captured, and in the Mishnah in Beya it said regarding a chaya and oif that it is considered to be captured. Frek Gemara, kashya chaya chaya. So we have a contradiction regarding the animals, and kashya oifis oifis, and we have a contradiction regarding capturing birds. So the Gemara explains regarding the contradiction we see here of the Mishnah in Beya and the Braisa regarding the animal. That's not a question, because we can simply say Ha Rabbi Yehuda and Ha Rabbanan. Like we saw in our Mishnah that we learned right over here, there's a machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan regarding capturing a deer or any animal, whether if you capture it outdoors in a garden, in an enclosure, is that capturing, or it has to be dafke in a house, right? So the Tanakama said that it has to be dafke, Rabbi Yehuda that is. Rabbi Yehuda said that it has to be dafke in a house. And the Chachamim said even outdoors, in an enclosure, it's considered to be capturing. So we have those two opinions in our Mishnah right over here. And that would answer the contradiction here between the Mishnah and the Braisa and Beya regarding capturing on Yom Tov. It's machlokes, Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. Elo, however, oifis, the contradiction we have over here regarding birds, kashya, this remains a question. We have right over here a contradiction between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan regarding, we have a contradiction over here in the two Braisas regarding birds. And as Rashi explains, we saw in the Mishnah, everybody holds when it comes to birds that the only place for it to be considered captured is if it's inside a closet. And over here, we have two Braisas, we have a Mishnah and a Braisa about this regarding the bird, whether if you capture it just an enclosure, if that's considered to be captured or not. Zok the Gemara. So v'chi teimem, if you're going to try to answer and say oifis nami lekashia, the contradiction that we have over here regarding the birds is also not a question. Why not? I can say as follows: ha beaver, or as the Bach says, bib beaver. This is talking about an enclosure mekura that also has a roof over it. And ha beaver she'einu mekura. And here we're talking about one that does not have a roof over it, right? If it has a roof over it, so that's enough for it to be considered that the bird is captured there. If it does not have a roof over it, so then it's not captured. For the bird is not considered to be captured. Ubein la Rabbi Yehuda, frag the Gemara. 1 second, frag the Gemara. This can't be an answer. V'ha bias. But when it comes to a house, the mekurahu, which certainly has a roof, ubein la Rabbi Yehuda, ubein la Rabbanon, both according to Rabbi Yehuda and according to the Rabbanon, tzipor la migdal in, only when you capture the bird into a house, then it's considered to be captured. La bias loy. But if it's captured into the house and it's running around in the room, it's flying around in the room of the house, even though it has a roof over it, it's not considered to be captured. So we still don't have an answer to our question, the contradiction regarding oifis. Rabbi Bar Avona says the answer is there are different types of birds. In the case where we say that it's not considered to be captured, even until you take it into a closet, we're talking about a bird that's wild, that runs around from corner to corner, and it's hard to capture it. It doesn't accept any of the control of the person so easily. The Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, why is this bird called a tzipor droyer? What's the word droyer mean? It lives inside the house, indoors, the same way it lives outdoors. Just that outdoors it flies all around. Indoors it also flies and it goes from one corner to another, and it's difficult to capture it. So that kind of bird is not considered to be captured. But a bird that is not wild, is not a tzipor droyer, is considered to be captured in this enclosure. That's the answer regarding the birds. We're talking about two different types of birds. So hashte the osis lahachi. Now that you've reached this conclusion, so we can also make a distinction regarding a chaya. We don't have to say that the answer is that one is Rabbi Yehuda and one is the Rabbanan. What can we say? Chaya nami lekasher. We could also say that the contradiction regarding chaya is not a question. Ha bebiver gadol and ha bebiver cotton. Two kinds of enclosures. There's an enclosure that's large, and over there it's not considered to be captured. And then there's a smaller enclosure where it is considered to be captured. So the Gemara explains, Heichidami biver gadol, heichidami biver cotton. What exactly is the size? How do we measure what's considered to be a large enclosure and what's considered to be a small enclosure? Rav Ashi says, Kol heichederot pasrei. Whenever it's small enough that if you run after it, and you can reach it with one lunge, then that's considered to be a beaver cotton. That's a beaver cotton. The idach, but if it's you can't reach it with one lunge, beaver gadol. That's already considered to be a larger enclosure that it's not captured there. Yinami, or we can say differently, whenever the shade of the two walls meet each other, then beaver cotton. That's considered to be a small enclosure. V'idach, any other place which is bigger than that, that's considered to be a beaver gadol. That's a large enclosure. As Taisus over here says, that we're talking about a certain height of walls, that they had a certain standard height of walls that they made in those times. Otherwise, you could have very tall walls, and even if it's very large, the shade will meet each other. So we're talking about a certain standard height of walls, which the Gemara knew at that time. A third pshat is if you have an enclosure that doesn't have corners where the animal could slip away into, so then that's called uktzi biver cotton. So again, if it does not have these corners, beaver cotton, then it's considered to be a small enclosure because it's reachable. But if it does have corners and the animal could slip away, then beaver gadol. That's considered to be a large enclosure that you cannot reach it. Then we had at the Mishnah, Rab Shimon Gamliel said the klal that it depends if you can reach it. Then it's if it's mechusat seida, if you still have to additionally capture it even after it's in a certain enclosure, then you potter, it's not fully captured. If it's not mechusat seida, you chayev. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Yudah, Amar Shmuel. He said in the name of Shmuel, Halacha Rab Shimon ben Gamliel. We paskin like Rab Shimon ben Gamliel. Amalei Abaye. So Abaye said to him, Halacha, you're saying the halacha is like Rab Shimon ben Gamliel. Meklal the pligi. So could I deduce from your words that means that the Chachamim disagreed to this? They disagreed to what Rab Shimon Gamliel says. And therefore you have to say that the halacha is like Rab Shimon Gamliel. Right? And this is l'chayda not the case. When we just saw right here in the Gemara before, regarding the difference between a big enclosure and a small enclosure, where basically the Gemara is saying, even according to the Chachamim, the same point as Rab Shimon Gamliel. That it depends how large it is. Do you still have to capture it even after it's inside this enclosure? So why did you say that this is only according to Rab Shimon Gamliel? Amalei, so Rav Yosef answered Abaye, my nafkalach mina, what difference does it make? So I said the halacha is like Rab Shimon Gamliel. So if Chachamim agree, so it's even better. Amalei, Gemara, Zemarte, hey, you say a halacha and you say something in such a way where it's not even true and it's just like you're saying a song. It's not just a song. What you say has to be accurate. That's why I'm asking you this question. That's it. The Gemara doesn't continue to say what happened. Did Rav Yosef agree to him or not? That's the end of that discussion. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Tana Rabbana, we learned in Abraisa, Tzod Tzvi Suma V'Yoshan, a person captures a deer which is blind or sleeping. Chayev, Yechayev. Chiger, Zaken, Chayle, if it's lame or if it's old or if it's sick, then you potter. So the question now is, Amalei Abaye le Rav Yosef. Abaye asked Rav Yosef regarding this Braisa. Maishna Hani or Maishna Hani? What's the difference between the first two, that it says that if it's blind or asleep, it's Yechayev, it's still a malacha of capturing, and when it's old or it's lame or it's sick, so then you potter. What's the difference? So the answer is Hani avidi lirabuye. In the case where it's just blind or it's just sleeping, the animal senses that someone is coming to catch it and it could run away. But the other case is lo avidi lirabuye. When it's lame or sick or old, it can't run, and therefore it will not run away even if it sees that somebody, or it senses that somebody is coming to catch it. But for Hot Tanya, we clearly learned in another brayse, chayev, that when you have a deer that's sick, you're still chayev. So we see that a deer that's sick could run away. Answers the Gemara, there's no question. It depends what the sickness is. If it's sick because it has a fever, it'll still be able to run away. And then there's a case where it's sick with fatigue and it's very tired and it can't go away. So over there, even if it sees you coming, it will not run away, and therefore it's not considered to be capturing. Tana Rabbanon, we learned in another brayse, Tzod Chagovin, a person that captures grasshoppers, or gozin, which is also a kind of kosher grasshopper actually, and tzroin, hornets, v'yitushin, mosquitoes, b'Shabbos, chayev, all of them is chayev. Divrei Rab Meir. The Chachamim say, kol sheb'minoi nitzud, chayev. If it's a kind of thing, if it's something that people capture them, there's a purpose, there's a reason you're using them, for that you're chayev. But if not, if it's something that people don't capture, they have no use for it, then you're potter. You'll be potter. Tanya Idach. Now we learned in another brayse, Hatzot Chagovim. If a person is capturing grasshoppers, Bishas Hatal, at the time when the dew comes down, potter. You're a potter. So as Rashi explains, because when the dew comes down, it blinds the grasshoppers, so they can't run away. So there's no malacha of capturing. Bishas Hasherev. If you capture the grasshoppers when it's very hot outside, so it also weakens them, but they don't become blind and they could still run away. So then you're a chayiv. Elazar ben Mavoy said, if you have swarms of grasshoppers that are coming together, then you're potter. Then you're going to be potter. So now it's not clear exactly what case he was speaking about. So the question was asked, Elazar ben Mavoy. A Reisha was Elazar ben Mavoy going on the Reisha, and he was coming to be more machmer. He was coming to say that even when the dew comes down and it blinds the grasshoppers, you're only going to be potter if in addition they're coming as swarms, and when they come as swarms, that's much easier to capture. Rashi says that they're almost like expecting to, it's like together, and it's very easy to capture them, and therefore it's like it's already captured. So he was coming to be machmer regarding the reisha when they are blind, that in addition they have to also be coming in a swarm. That's what it was talking about. Oh, yeah, seifekoi. Or perhaps Elazar ben Mavoy was being more lenient regarding the seifa, where it said in the reisha, where the Tanakama said that even if it's hot and it's not so easy for them to fly away, but they could fly away, and therefore you would be chayiv. On that, Elazar ben Mavoy was coming to be more lenient and say that if they come in swarms, then you would be potter. Tashema. So the Gemara brings a clear braise where it says the pshat on this. There it said, Hatzot Chagovin, you capture the grasshoppers, B'shas Atal, in the time when the dew is falling, Potter, you Potter. B'shas Asherev, in the time of the heat, Chayev, you'll be Chayev. Laza B'mavoy says, Afilu B'shas Asherev, even in time of heat, Im Hoyim Makal Chaysu boys, if they're coming as in a swarm, then potter, then even in the time of heat, even though they're not blinded, you would still be potter. So we clearly see over here that Allah b'mavoy came to be mekel more than the Tanakama. So the Mishnah, tzvi shenichnas labayis, a deer that enters into a house, v'noal echad b'fonov, and someone closes the door on this deer. Chayiv, you'd be chayiv for that. Noal shnayim. But if two people close the door, peturin, then you potter. As Rashi here says, this is the halacha that we learned before. Shnayim shasu peturin. Two people that do malacha together are potter. Lo yachal echad linoil v'nol l'shnayim. Chayavin. If it's a case where the door is so heavy that one person couldn't close it alone, this is what was called before in the Gemara, ze eini yachal v'ze eini yachal, and they did it together. So because none of them could do it separately, so then they're going to both be chayiv. Rab Shimon paiter, and Rab Shimon says you're going to be pater. This is Rab Shimon's opinion that we had before. Rab Shimon says anytime two people are doing a malacha together, even if it's a case where each one has to have the assistance of the other person, you're going to be pater if it's two people together, no matter what. So the Gemara, Rabbi Yirmiyah Abba Shmuel, Rabbi Yirmiyah Abba said in the name of Shmuel, Atzad Ari b'Shabbos. You capture a lion on Shabbos, ein chayev at sheyach niseno. You're not chayev until you take this lion and you bring it into his cage. If you just capture the lion, he can still get his slip out of your hold. But if you brought him into the cage, that's the final tzeda for a lion. Regarding the Mishnah over here, where it brings up the concept of Shnayim Shasu, in this case of tzeda, so the question is, we already learned the din of Shnayim Shasu before, where it brought it up and it get to carrying, I believe it was, on Shabbos. So why does it have to bring the din of Shnayim Shasu again when you get to the malacha of tzeda? What's unique about the malacha of tzeda that we have to say this halacha again? So the answer the Sfas Emes says is, in this case, there's two parts, two different things you can look at. If you look at the object, at the animal that ran into this house, it could be this animal is small enough that one person would be able to capture it. If you look at the action of the malacha, the ma'isa malacha, the door that you're closing, that door was very heavy, and only two people were able to close it together. There would be a svara to say that this case is not considered to be ze eini yachal v'ze eini yachal, because as far as the size of this animal, you could just capture it easily by picking it up or holding it, and you don't need two people for that. So therefore, the chiddush of this Mishnah is, I don't look at the object, I don't look at the cheftzeh, I look at the maisa. I look at the action of the malacha, and since the door, the action of closing the door is what the action of the malacha is, therefore that does qualify, that is considered to be shnayim shasu, and they're going to be potter in this case if it's a heavy door and it's ze'eni yachol v'ze'eni yachol.